You are listening to Real Life and Other Fantasies, a podcast by engaging storytellers for engaged story listeners. Here's your host, author and journalist, Melvin E. Edwards.
Hello, fellow storytellers, and welcome to this road trip edition of Real Life and Other Fantasies. I'm down on the Texas Gulf Coast doing my first remote recording of this podcast because today we're going to discuss fall fishing in the Gulf of Mexico. My guest for this episode is Deb Powell, the owner and operator of Port O'Connor Rod and Gun. Deb, welcome to the Real Life and Other Fantasies podcast. How are you doing today?
Doing fine, Melvin. Thanks so much for having me.
Well, thanks for being here. Well, it's September, late September now, and the new regulations for the 2023-24 fishing season went into effect on September 1st. Can you tell me some of the new rule changes so I don't end up on an episode of Lone Star Law?
Well, the biggest one, I guess, would be the trout limits. So after the freeze, what year was that? 2020, I guess. We had that big freeze in February where everyone got the heavy snowfall and stuff. There was a substantial freeze in, they say, fish kill, so the gill net surveys kind of indicated that they needed to change the limits of the trout at that time. And so they made it from Laguna Madre up here till Matagorda Bay. So they changed the limits from 5 fish at 15 to 3 fish 17 to 23 inches. Nothing over 23. So this September they changed it back to the old limits, which Parks and Wildlife is very proud, and we're very happy that they took away and gave back, because sometimes that doesn't happen. But this year they did. So right now the limit for trout is back to 15 to 23 and 5 fish, so that's a good thing.
Okay, yes, and here in Texas, speckled trout are considered game fish, and the other game fish is redfish. Those are, for me, probably the most fun fish to catch because they're just so strong and muscular, and they give you a great fight, and they taste great too when you land them. Yes. And so the legal range for what they call slot reds is 20 inches minimum, 28 maximum, with one over the limit, but you have to tag it. So what can you tell the listeners what would happen if they came down and had a really good fishing day and they caught a redfish over the one that's like 35 inches and then they caught another one that was 19 inches? What would they need to do?
So our 28 inches, when you get your Parks and Wildlife and you get your fishing license, there is a drum tag. On a one-day tag, it's not included. You have to ask for that. So you can get one tag for free, and then you get the bonus tag, costs $3. So you get 2 tags, actually. So when you catch a fish over 28 inches, you tear off the tag from the license, you punch out the date, the month and the day, and then you put what bay and what county it was caught in. It's got a little hole in it. You'll either stick the hook through it or stick a piece of line through it, and you'll tie it onto the fish. Now, even after you clean the fish, you need to retain that tag in that bag with that fish until you actually consume it.
All right, that's all good information to know, because we don't want anybody to come down here and break the rules and then have to pay a substantial fine for harvesting an illegal fish. So Port O'Connor is along the Texas or the Gulf of Mexico, so it's obviously saltwater. For somebody let's say somebody's from the north, Minnesota, Michigan, wherever, and they come down, they're used to river and lake fishing. They come down to Texas in the winter or the fall to fish. What's the biggest difference between saltwater fishing and freshwater fishing?
Well, there's a lot of difference. I think there's a lot of difference. Saltwater, you never know what you're going to catch. There are a lot more species in the sea than there are in the lakes, I would say. But just like with any kind of fishing, when you target a certain species, that's usually what you end up with. So there's different baits for different fish that you're going to catch. There's so many different kinds of fishing. There's inshore fishing, offshore fishing, jetty fishing, bay fishing, flounder fishing, wade fishing, bait fishing, artificial. I mean, there are so many different ways to go fishing. Like, so when somebody says, oh, I want to go fishing, will you book me a trip? Okay, what kind of fishing do you want to do? So do you want a meat haul and you want your flounder and redfish and trout? Do you want to catch shark just to have the fight of it? Tarpon or catch and release only. So there's a lot of different ways of fishing here. But like I said, you never know what's going to be on the other end of the line. Unlike in lake fishing, where you're pretty much going to get a bass or a catfish, or that's kind of what you're going to catch. Out here, there you just don't know.
Is that the most fun, the most exciting part? Is the mystery of it all, not knowing what you got on the other end?
I think so. That's a lot. So, and then it's personal preference as to what hooks you. Which do you like to do the best? Like, personally, I like wade fishing with artificial. That's one of my favorite things to do. It is, it's just different being in the water, throwing plastics, and I'll catch and release more. I mean, if my freezer is empty or if I've got company coming and we're going to have a fish fry, I'll keep fish for that. But basically, I just pretty much catch and release, and it's just getting out there and being in the water with the fish. I love it.
I'm sure that's really nice when you've got a summer like the one we've had this year, just being in the water, helping cool yourself off.
Yes, very much so. Yes, there are things. There's stingrays, there's shark. The dolphin will come and try to get all your fish away as soon as you catch them. But, there are, it's muddy. You'll sink. There's oyster reef. You can cut yourself. There's a lot of things you have to watch out for. One day I was fishing with croaker under a popping cork, and we were out by the wall near the jetties out to past the wall, and we're fishing, and I had a fish on, so I was reeling it in. We're standing in the water. We're about not quite chest high, and I'm reeling it in, and I was like, what the heck? Did I just lose that fish? Because it's not fighting anymore. Well, I was like, oh no, it's there and it's coming towards me. Well, that wasn't that fish that was coming towards me. A shark decided he wanted that fish more than I do. About 4 foot away from me, he comes up and I see him and he sees me, and thank goodness he went the other way.
Wow.
So I quit keeping my fish on a stringer. I took them over to the guy fishing next to me, and I was like, here, you can go ahead and hold these for me, and you can have them if you want. I don't want them.
You could be shark bait. I don't want to be shark bait.
But that was pretty intense, I will say.
That's scary. So I mentioned before that we're in Port O'Connor, and I've seen online that Port O'Connor is called the best kept secret on the Texas Gulf Coast. Can you tell me, do you have any idea why that's the situation, and what people need to do to expose Port O'Connor to more fishermen, or maybe you just want to keep it a secret?
Well, it's not much of a secret anymore. We are growing by leaps and bounds. It's just in the past 5 years that I've been here, it's grown considerably. I've been coming here since, this used to be our family vacation when we were kids. This is where Dad would bring us. He was an avid fisherman. We had a 19-foot yellow deck boat that we would go out to the jetties and fish all the time. He caught a tarpon once, and that was it. He was hooked, and so we always targeted tarpon or the jetty trout and flounder. There was a little area called the Flounder Hole, which is the north side of the jetties, I guess you'd say right now, which it's changed so much here since the 70s, but that was our beach because there wasn't a beach in town. So he would drop us off over there, and he'd go fish the side of the jetties while we played in the sand a little bit over there. And one day we were fishing the jetties for trout, and we caught more trout than we had ever caught in our lives. We had two. This was before regulations and limits. We had 2 stringers full of really nice trout. So many of them. And we were going to go in because we were out of bait. And then I caught something like a croaker that we could have used for cut bait. And they were just biting. It was crazy how many fish we caught. And so Dad's like, well, we're going to go in. And then I caught that. And he's like, okay, let's stay. Well, he had already pulled up the fish. And you used to clean the fish on the boat at the time, too. And, before you came in. Well, can't do that anymore either. But he's like, oh, let's just stay for a little bit longer. Well, he goes and throws those stringers in. He didn't have them tied anymore. Every single fish that we caught just swam away.
Wow. So Dad ruined the fishing trip.
He was upset. He was not happy. He didn't cuss, but boy, he cussed that day.
Oh, no.
He was not happy. So then we didn't have bait. We didn't have anything. So we had to go home with no fish, even though we'd caught a lot of fish that day.
Wow.
But that is one of my most vivid memories.
Yeah, a little later on, I'm going to ask you about some of your favorite fish memories. So we'll save some of those for then. But that's a pretty good one, too. So if somebody came from another state or another part of Texas down to the Gulf Coast to fish on vacation and didn't have a state license or any fishing equipment, can you give me a sort of a rundown of what they would need and about how much it would cost if they just came down just on vacation and planned and decided to go fishing at the last minute?
Okay, last minute fishing. So the first thing they would need to do is probably find someone to take them fishing. There are, I don't know, probably 30 or 40 guides here in Port O'Connor. Various kinds of fishing. I mean, there's some groups that offer all of them, and there's duck hunting, and there's all kind of stuff too. But for fishing, you'd have to decide what kind of fishing you want to do first. If you want to go offshore, jetties, bay, inshore, wade fishing, fishing with bait. I mean, there are just a lot of different ways. You got to consider too if you've got kids or don't have kids, and what's safe for them, what they'd enjoy the most. Traveling a long way offshore with little ones is not the most fun. It's really, it's a substantial trip out there. But anyway, and then wade fishing too. You can't go very deep if you've got small kids with you, so that would be a different thing. So it depends on your group and who you're including in that trip. Then you would come over here to my store, Port O'Connor Rod and Gun, and you'd buy a fishing license. It's 16 days for a non-resident fishing license is $16. I'm sorry, $16 for a one-day non-resident fishing license. You get a drum tag with that, and you'll include it. So if you went jetty fishing and wanted to keep an oversized red, you'd have that with you. You can actually get 2 that day, so you could keep 3 redfish, 2 oversized, 1 not, or whatever. And then we would find you a guide. We would see who's available. There's a Facebook group called POC People. You can post it on there. Anybody available for a trip today, and they'll tag people, and they'll tell you about it. We have a block of about probably 100 cards over here with different guides' names on them. You could call them. But most of them are our customers. We have their phone numbers. We can reach out to them for you if you need us to. But yeah, so you'd get your guide, you'd figure it out. And they provide usually all your rods and reels and bait, tackle, everything that you need. The guide does. I would say they're all a different range of prices, and it depends on where you want to go and how you want to fish. Anywhere from $750 to up to $2,000 for a full day offshore trip. So depends on what you want to do, what your budget is.
Well, how committed you are to it.
Yes.
So somebody who's casual, you're probably going to be fishing off the shore, off the jetties, or wade fishing, more than likely.
So jetty trips are really popular because catching those bull reds and shark is a lot of fun. I mean, like, it's just fun. Like, it's muscle, it's skill, it's everything to keep them on there. They have every ability to break that line and not come in. But if you get them in, you've done. I mean, like, it's a great accomplishment, and plus you get some really good pictures with those big fish.
Yeah, half the joy of fishing is telling stories, and probably even more of the joy is when the fish gets away. They don't call them fish stories for nothing.
Right.
So that's the fun part of fishing. You don't know what you had on there. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you don't know what you had, so you can just make up whatever your imagination can carry.
And how long you fought it for. But chased it with the boat.
like Moby Dick there, just following the whale around. All right, so I saw on the way into town this morning that the first Port O'Connor Boat and Fishing Expo is coming up in October at the Port O'Connor Community Center. So is that a good time for somebody to come down to fish, or is that just a good time to sort of stock up on your equipment?
It's a good time for both. We're going to be a part of that boat and fishing show. And I also have a guy from, I don't know, he's a friend of ours, and we both do Batson rods components. We build our rods with Batson components, and he's the spokesperson for them. But Adam J., the freestyle fisherman, is going to be here at my booth, and I'm doing a little seminar, I guess, or how-to on spooling reels, the difference in bait casters and spinning reels, and mono and braid, and a couple of knots that we use to tie the two together. So it'll be a good thing. They have a lot of vendors that are going to be at this show. I think it's October 6th, 7th, and 8th, is that correct? I think. Anyway,
yes, that is correct.
There are going to be a lot of vendors there. We're going to sell our rods, and we've got some really great caps, and we're going to sell those. And I've got the Hoagie guy who makes plastics. He's going to have like a worm bar over there, and we'll have some giveaways. It'll be a good time. The boat manufacturers, there are several from this area. They'll all be there. A lot of the fishing guides will be there. Sunglasses manufactured companies. It should be a really good time. It should be great. And so, yeah, book a trip, and that'll give you a little extra something to do in between, fishing and stuff. So it'd be awesome.
Okay. That sounds great. So people wanted to come up and just stock up at your store, Port O'Connor Rod and Guns. Tell me some of the stuff you got there. Let's say somebody wanted one of everything. What kind of things could they get?
Oh, man. So we carry some apparel. We don't have a whole lot of apparel, but, we've got some great shirts and shorts by Skinny Water Culture. They're out of Florida. We really like them. We've got some hook and just T-shirts, long-sleeve shirts, fishing gear. We have waders for the wintertime when it's cold, breathable waders. We do Frog Tog and Everlast. And then we have wade boots. Same thing. We'll have jackets and base layers for the wintertime for the duck hunters and fishermen that like to fish when it's cold. We have sunglasses by Bahio and Red Tail Republic. I have Tyler and Glamour Wash laundry soaps and candles. I have that. I have a lot of seasonings, special the shit seasonings from Lexington, Texas. We have those. We have Texas Chrome, and we have, I can't remember the other one. Cattleman's is another seasoning that we do. We do Toadfish, which has a line of cutting boards and knives. They have some dry bags. They have those koozies that stick and they don't fall off, which works really good on a boat. And if you have pets, because their dog wags the tail and doesn't knock your drink over. We have guns, pistols and shotguns, a couple of rifles. We have several knives, pocket knives, fillet knives, Bubba knives, electric knives. We have.
It sounds like you got everything from taking them from the
store. Yeah, we have hooks
from the water to the air to the frying pan to your table.
Yeah, we have. We make our own custom rods. We build rods here, custom to you. Put your name on it. Use whatever color thread you want, whatever action. Titanium guides or stainless guides. We build most of those here in our shop, and then the previous owner also. Build some for me when I get in a pinch and need some help. He'll build some for me when he's not traveling the globe. But so yeah, we have pretty much everything you need to get on the water and get out fishing. That's for sure.
Wow, it definitely sounds like people who are interested in fishing in the Gulf of Mexico in the fall and the winter need to come to Port O'Connor Rod and Guns to get your equipment and get out there and catch those big ones and take your fishing license and tag so you can stay compliant with the law and take some fish home and have a big fish dinner.
For sure. A lot of the restaurants here, I think every one of them actually, if you hook it, they'll cook it. So you can actually go out fishing and bring your filleted fish to the restaurant and they'll cook it for you. They'll blacken it or grill it or fry it, and you pick sides. And it's a pretty good deal, too, especially for people that are out of state and can't actually take it home with them. At least they get to eat the fish. Mm-hmm.
Oh, nice. That's a nice perk. Mm-hmm. That's awesome. Okay, so we need to take a short break now. When we come back, we're going to find out some of Deb's favorite childhood memories of fishing. We'll be right back.
The Wimberley Story Fest will be held from October 12th through the 14th in the picturesque Texas Hill country town of Wimberley. The 2023 Story Fest will celebrate story in all its forms. This year's 3-day festival in Pioneer Town highlights storytellers, singer-songwriters, filmmakers, and visual artists. You can also join us on Friday and Saturday evenings around the campfire for songs and stories. It will be a big weekend for stories, and there will also be interesting activities associated with the annular eclipse on Saturday. October 12th to the 14th is the weekend. Wimberley, Texas is the place. We are proud that the Real Life and Other Fantasies podcast is a sponsor of the Wimberley Story Fest. Go to their website for tickets and more information at www.wimberleystoryfest.org. That's www.wimberleystoryfest.org. See you there.
We're back on the Texas Gulf Coast with our guest, Deb Powell, the owner of Port O'Connor Rod and Gun Shop. And Deb, you mentioned earlier fishing with your dad and catching those 2 stringers of fish that got away. What are some of your favorite, other than that one, what are some of your best memories of fishing from your childhood?
Oh, well, I have a lot of them. I guess one thing that I have to say just about Port O'Connor, and it's maybe not so much about fishing, and I'll tell you my other little fishing story in a minute. But, like Port O'Connor, you don't just go through Port O'Connor, you have to come here because there's only one road in and one road out. I guess that's why it's the best kept secret, because you don't just happen upon it. You actually have to be coming here to get here. I remember when I was a kid in the 70s, like I said, and all these fishing days that we had with Dad, I came back here about 6 years ago, and I was like, my goodness, that's the boat stall where my dad used to keep his boat. And it seemed like, at the time when I was a kid, that it was 2 miles away from the water. Like, it seemed like it was, oh, God, we're never going to get there. Can we just please go fishing? Well, we got to go get the boat first. And And I was like, it's so far. Oh, my gosh, can we just get there? Well, now, coming through here is on Monroe. Like, it's in the middle of town. It was not very far at all away from the water. But when I was a kid, it seemed like it was miles away. It was just such a weird feeling when I saw that. I was like, it's right here by the water. And when I was a kid, I thought it was forever to get to the water from this place. But and then I have another this isn't Port O'Connor related, but my grandpa worked on a farm for the Dusheks, Melvin Dushek, and they were from Victoria. And he worked on the farm out there in LaGrange, and we had this old Army Jeep. That's how I learned how to drive standard, and he'd let us drive all the time. Well, I was sitting by the pond, and we were fishing, and there was a little rustle in the Weesatch, was a little bush next to me, and I thought, oh, it must be a little rabbit. So I go and I peek around the corner to just look and see what's in there, and it was a water moccasin. It was a snake that was as big as my arm. I threw my fishing pole down and took off running. That was the scariest. That's another thing. It's either sharks or snakes. They're out to get me.
It's like Australia.
Mm-hmm. That was one of my fishing stories I'll never forget either. It's like I don't sit next to it. It's got to be clear around me when I go sit somewhere to fish in a pond especially.
Did you ever get your fishing rod back?
I think Grandpa did that. I never went back to that pond.
It wasn't that interesting for you.
No, I never went back to that pond.
One of my most of my best memories are from fishing when I was a kid. And I used to go fishing with my dad. Unfortunately, he passed away when I was 13 years old. But we used to go fishing. I grew up in Houston. We would go down to Galveston County almost every Saturday. And one of the things that we started doing after a while was to go down to Kemah. And they had half-day trips in Kemah on what they called party boats back then. Mm-hmm. And then you'd pay whatever it cost to go on the boat for the half day of fishing. And when you boarded the boat, everybody would put $1 in the pot. And then whoever caught the biggest fish that day would win the pot of money. Well, I used to get so seasick when I was a kid. Like, it got to the point where one time I got seasick before I got on the boat. Like, it was rocking. It was rocking while I was on the pier, and I got seasick.
Oh my goodness.
And I never threw up. I never ever threw up. I've thrown up like twice in my whole life, but I never threw up from being seasick. I just felt queasy and dizzy. But getting seasick on the pier was ultimate embarrassment. But one time I was out there, and I was probably 9 or 10 years old, and I had the biggest fish for most of the day. And I thought, I'm hoping this holds up, but I'll be out here and I can catch another one, because I was pretty arrogant and I'm very competitive. But I got seasick and I couldn't fish anymore. And then probably like the last half hour or something, somebody caught one bigger than mine, and I didn't win the pot.
What kind of fish was it? Do you remember?
It was a redfish.
Oh wow, that's good.
And I was 8 or 9 or 10, something like that, and I still resent that. I was that close to winning that pot, but the seasickness overcame me, and I couldn't make it to the finish line.
Cost you money.
But I got a great story out of it.
Cost you money.
I got a great story out of it. Cost me money, but I got a great story out of it.
Exactly.
So are there anything like party boats like that down here in Port O'Connor, or is that just a thing of the past?
Yeah, we don't really have head boats like they do in Port Aransas and the cities. Well, I can't say the cities, but they'll have those bigger head boats. I'm not sure why we don't have a company that does that, actually. We used to charter one of those in Port Aransas every year. My family would go out before we moved to Port O'Connor, and we'd all go to Port Aransas, and we'd put like 20 of us. We'd just rent the whole boat, and it was all our family, and we got a big family. We'd rent the whole boat and go out, and we'd fish for king and ling and shark and snapper or whatever. We went, August 22nd was my birthday, so the 23rd is my brother's birthday, so we went out offshore with Texas Fins and Feathers on that Wednesday, the 23rd. And that was the day after that little tropical depression storm thing came through. And it was rough. It was not fun getting out there. Coming back wasn't as bad, of course, because the sea's going. It was 3 to 5s with an occasional 8. It was like, wow. It was pretty rough. So we didn't get a lot of pictures on the boat because we had to hold on.
I would definitely get seasick.
My husband Jeremy always gets sick. I mean, he'll get sick if we starfish. Like, he always gets sick, and he didn't even get sick. So I was pretty impressed. No one got sick. I couldn't believe it because it was really rough. But we caught all our snapper and some really nice ones. We went, we were going to target amberjack right after that, so we went out a little further. And, no, too many sharks. I guess that they got pretty stirred up. Well, there's just a lot of sharks this year for whatever reason. I don't know. But I guess they got stirred up by that storm, so pretty well all of our bait went to sharks, and there were big ones too. Spinners, I guess, because, they'd clear the water, and we're like, ooh, what is that? Oh, it's a shark. But It was a good time, though. We had a great time. That's a good bunch to go out with, Texas Fins and Feathers. That's who you and I are going to go out with this afternoon, actually.
Oh, that's awesome. I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah. My friend Mark Udy is going to take us bait fishing. We're going to try to get us a meat haul with some redfish and trout, maybe a flounder or drum.
That sounds great to me. And just so you know, I'm planning to catch the biggest.
Oh, well, I think maybe we should put a wager on that. A $10 wager?
Well, we'll see. Yeah, that was actually leads into my next question about competing being a big part of fishing. And the competitions that my dad came up with that I've carried with me throughout life whenever I go fishing with somebody is there are always 3 competitions: catching the first fish of the day, the biggest one, and the most. So it seems to me like all fishermen are pretty competitive. So is that what you've seen during your course of being around fishermen your whole life?
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's side pots on just about every tournament. The heaviest. We never do the first, really. Well, we do have one that's the most spots. So usually we have a side pot that's got the most spots on a redfish. That's a side pot that we bet on too. So, which if you ever, redfish has that little spot on his tail. Some of them have 2, 3, 5. I think one person caught one with 72 spots on it.
72.
Yeah.
That's like freckles.
Google spots on a redfish, but yeah, it had lots of spots.
That's freckles. That's not just the spot on the tail.
Right?
I don't think I've ever seen more than probably like 7 or 8 spots on the redfish.
72 spots, I believe. I think it was caught here in this bay, actually.
Wow.
I'm pretty sure. I must see which captain it was.
So have you done most of your fishing down here on the Texas Gulf Coast, or have you ever fished in any other parts of the world?
Oh, no. I've fished lakes, rivers, and streams, ponds, but my favorite is fishing here at the coast. I really have only fished the Texas coast. And anytime I get to travel anywhere, I've never been out of the country aside from Mexico. But there's no water wherever I go. I always end up in Vegas or Arizona.
Yeah, no water in Vegas.
Or
the Hoover Dam, that's about it. There's not even much
mountains, yeah. But I guess I could, I never really thought about taking, I guess because I can't bring my own gear. I'm pretty particular about what I fish with, so I guess that's
most fishermen are pretty protective of their equipment.
Mm-hmm. Yes, they are.
So one of the things I learned when I was a kid is that some of the most dedicated conservationists are people who fish and hunt. It seems like they want to make sure they protect the resources so they'll be there so they can fish and hunt for years to come and take future generations out there. Is that something else that you've seen?
Yes, actually, one of my friends that I fish with is a biologist for Texas Parks and Wildlife, and I absolutely love going fishing with him because he is, first of all, he's so knowledgeable about everything, about every part of the fish and everything. I learned so much on every trip. And he's like a vet performing so when you catch the snapper or the big reds, their bladders expand, and so you have to vent them, and there's a vent tool so that instead of them just floating off, it pokes a hole, lets the air out, and then they can fill their swim bladders back with water. Well, he does this, and it's just amazing watching him take care of the fish, and just not catching them, and he cares, and it's just amazing.
So one of the things that they're pretty heavily restricted, I've learned, are turtles that are hatched along the beach all the way down the Gulf Coast. What would somebody do if they saw baby loggerheads or leatherback turtles, or they saw some Kemp's Ridley turtles swimming by? What should they do if they see something like that?
I think out in their natural habitat, don't do anything. Just leave them unless you see them in distress of some sort. I know when it gets cold here, they get lethargic, and so they have a turtle rescue. Then they'll go out and they'll pick up all the turtles that are cold and take them to rehab and get them, taken care of until the temperatures warm up and the water warms up for them. But, if they're in their natural habitat and they don't look like they're struggling and everything is fine, leave them. Just leave them to Mother Nature. We see several when we're fishing pretty much anywhere. I mean, they're pretty abundant here. I've seen them in the jetties. I've seen them in the back lakes. I've seen them offshore. I mean, I've seen quite a few. And dolphins.
What's the biggest one you've seen? The turtles.
The biggest turtle probably I'm gonna say, I'm gonna do my arms like this, probably about 30 inches.
Wow.
Yes, they're pretty big.
That's like the size of a hubcap, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. I was like, it's about the size of a tire. About the size of a tire. And they're different kinds too. I guess maybe they're aged, and so their shells look different, but. Anyway. But
Yeah, most people probably don't think about endangered turtles down on the Texas Gulf Coast, but they're out there. You just got to be careful and protect them.
And then this year we've had alligators, quite a few alligators actually. They've been abundant. I saw one day. We were fishing the Army Hole, and I guess it was probably, I'm going to say it was probably 12 to 14 foot at least. I had never seen an alligator that big. One of the scales on his back, you know how they have the little scales on his back, was like as big as my 2 feet together.
Wow.
That was how huge just the scales were on it. We got really close to it. It was probably the top of his back, and his head was a good 3.5 to 4 foot wide. He was a big one. Never seen anything that big. There was like 4 of them in the Army cut that day. There were a lot of them.
Don't they usually hang out in fresh water? I was be surprised to see them in the salt water.
No, there's quite a few in the salt water. They like it here.
Yeah, I mentioned growing up fishing down in Galveston County, and a lot of our fishing was wade fishing. And I was aware of stingrays and oyster beds and stuff like that, those kind of things that you had to watch out for. But it never crossed my mind that you might have to watch out for an alligator. You're making me never want to go out in the water again. You got sharks and alligators?
Yeah, sharks and alligators and jellyfish. Those suckers hurt too.
Yeah, I probably shouldn't say this because it'll probably happen today, but I've never been stung by a jellyfish or a bee in my whole life.
Well,
I'll probably get both.
No, we won't let you get stung. We're going to stay in the boat. We're not going to wade today. We'll stay in the boat. And so you don't have to worry about the jellyfish. And I haven't seen any bees. So you're good.
All right. So the last question here for you. Before we conclude this episode, can you tell me why somebody should come to Port O'Connor, Texas on their next fishing excursion?
Okay. Oh, that's a lot. So we have really good fishing. We have inshore fishing. We have offshore fishing, bay fishing. We have some great kayaking trails and paddle trails here. Really accessible. There are several places just to fish from the shore, and we have a pier at our Kingfisher Beach where you can fish off the pier. And we have a little natural area called the Boggy, which is good wade fishing. And easy to get to. I don't know. There's just a lot. We've got great restaurants. We've got Speedy Stop that's open 24/7. It's got everything you need over there. So it's just good. It's laid back. It's quiet. If you want to do something, you can. If you don't want to do anything, you don't have to. We're not an island, but it feels like it. People are super nice. And there's not a lot of them. It's pretty quiet. It's really quiet area. We really like it here.
Well, that sounds like a perfect kind of fishing trip, because normally when you go fishing, you want some part of the objective for going fishing is to clear your mind and have some peace and quiet. So if it's already quiet, that's a good start.
So like if you come to Port O'Connor, and if you have a trip booked, let's say you have a trip booked for tomorrow morning, you come in the night before, you'll go to your Airbnb. We only have 3 hotels here, and they're not big ones, they're very small. And no franchises, like it's just individually owned places. We don't have any franchise anything here. There's no fast food restaurant. It's a very small little fishing village. But you would get here the night before. You'd probably grab some dinner, maybe a cocktail, go to bed, wake up, meet your guide at the boat ramp. There's 3 boat ramps that you could possibly meet him at. Then you would, he'd get the bait, get everything. You'd go fishing for the day. You come back, like I said, you could cook your catch at one of the restaurants. They'll cook it for you. Have dinner, and then there's some shopping. We got 1, 2, 3, 4 retail stores here in town, and then the Speedy Stop, like I said. There's a Dollar General for incidentals that you might have forgotten, your Dramamine so you don't get sick or whatever. But it's beautiful. I mean, we have a nice little, it's a man-made beach. When we were coming here as kids, there was no beach, but they dredged the intercoastal and the Matagorda Ship Channel. And when they dredged, I guess 3 years ago, maybe 4, they put all the dredge sand up on the shore for us and made a man-made beach, and it's been really, really nice, and it's very pretty. So we didn't go down there today, did we?
No, not yet.
Nope, not yet. We will.
Okay, that sounds great. All right, so I'm gonna wind it down here. Thanks a lot, Deb Powell, for being our guest today to talk about Gulf of Mexico fishing in the fall. Invite everybody to come down to Port O'Connor Rod and Guns to get your equipment when you come down here, and say hi to Deb. So that's it for today's episode. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Debbie.
No, that's fine. I was just going to say I really appreciate you reaching out to me and let me talk about my little town and my little business, and it's been awesome. Thank you.
All right, thank you. So that's it for today's episode of Real Life and Other Fantasies. Get out there on the water and do some fishing this weekend. Join us again next time when we go on a different mental road trip to talk about Oktoberfest. That'll be a lot of fun. Until then, don't forget to shine some light wherever you go. That was another edition of Real Life and Other Fantasies with your host, Melvin E. Edwards. Join us again next time for more stories about more things than you can imagine. Some of those true stories may even be about real life. See you next time.